Bum, 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 bum. The universe is so unexplored. Behind every star, there is a question just waiting to be answered. I'm Dr. Lewis Russell, and in this series, I aim to answer just a handful of those questions in the Unanswered Questions of Space, Time Travel Edition. Ever since I was a little boy, I've been obsessed with the idea of time travel. Being able to move forwards and backwards in time, it just fascinates me. Let's begin with a simple explanation of time travel. We are moving forwards in time at a constant speed. Let's call this gear 1. Now imagine time travel as a car journey. Currently, we would be in gear 1, but what if we were able to change the gear, if you will? Turn it up a notch or two to travel faster in time, or even put it in reverse gear and go backwards. But this is just an explanation, an idea. In some ways it brings up more questions than it does answer. We need to look more into the science of it all, the space-time continuum, Einstein's theory of relativity, and all that complicated stuff. To start things off, I'm about to head off to a meeting with an expert of Einstein's work, in hope that he can unravel some of the mystery behind time travel. Drive! I'm here outside the house of Professor Parker, who studied the works of Albert Einstein his entire life. Let's see if he's home.
Oh yes, please do come in.
Hello, Professor Parker. We were wondering if you could tell us a little about Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yeah, I sure can. Yes, one of his greatest works. One of the things that Einstein's theory tells us is that time is relative to speed. This means that if you reach a certain speed, time will change for you. This is only for extremely high speeds, such as near the speed of light.
Ah. But how does this help us understand time travel?
Well, the closer an object gets to the speed of light, the slower time will travel for it and its contents. Picture this, there are two twin brothers, both aged 25. Now, one of them stays on Earth, while the other one gets into a spaceship and goes on a journey at the speed of light for 20 years.
Ah.
Obviously, when he gets back, he'll be 45. But his brother, who stayed on Earth, will be around the age of 71.
So in essence, he would have travelled into the future.
That is one way of looking at it. But he didn't actually travel through time. He just went so fast, that time for him went slower than it did for his brother back on Earth.
So it's not real time travel.
Precisely.
Well, thank you for talking to us.
It's my pleasure.
Well, that was very interesting. It seems as though time travel may one day be possible in the future. But I'm off to visit someone now that has a very different outlook on time travel. In fact, they think it will never be possible. Ever. Let's go. Ah, Dr. Del Basso, it's so good to see you could make it today.
Yes, indeed.
So, tell us why you think time travel will never be possible.
I'm sure that Einstein fanatic Professor Parker told you loads about time travelling into the future via the speed of light.
As a matter of fact, he did, yes.
Well, he forgot a very small equation that Einstein himself brought up. E equals mc squared. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Of course, energy equals mass times light speed squared.
Well, what this means is that the faster an object goes, the higher its mass becomes. This is why nothing can travel at the speed of light except light itself. As an object approaches that speed, its mass gets so big that it would require an infinite amount of energy to move it any further.
So, we will never be able to travel at the speed of light, but what if we got close, say 99%?
Something like that would require such a huge amount of energy, though, that it would most probably never be done.
Not even far into the future?
Well, possibly, but there are so many other factors that we would need to calculate. It would just be impossible to do.
What about travelling into the past? How likely is it that that will ever be possible?
Travelling into the past would almost certainly cause what is known as paradox, which I'm not bothered to explain, now as I've important work to get on with! They're coming! Flee!
What Dr. Del Basso was trying to explain before his incident was a paradox. Now with me here today in this disclosed location is Jimmy Fitzgerald, author of the award-winning book Perry the Pineapple's Paradox. Jimmy, could you please explain to us what a paradox is and how they work?
Well, of course, Dr. Russell. A paradox means something that's going to contradict something else. In this case, going back in time. You will almost certainly do something that will have consequences for present day. A typical example of this is the grandfather paradox. You are a time-travelling assassin. You are sent back in time to kill your target. Your target also happens to be your grandfather. You line your blaster pistol up with his face. Put your finger on the trigger, but stop just before you're about to pull it. You ask yourself, what would happen if you pulled the trigger? Your father would never exist, therefore you would never exist, and the course of human history will be changed forever. Would you just disintegrate on the spot the moment your grandfather died, or fall to the ground dead as well? We just don't know. But what we know for sure is that the outcome of this lesson won't be good. There's also another theory called the butterfly effect. The idea is that the single flick of a butterfly's wing can set off a chain of reactions to create devastating effects. This is the same for travelling back in time. Even if you didn't come into contact with any humans when you went back to the present, things would almost certainly be different, because you may have trodden on an ant who was supposed to do this. And this would have led to that, and that would have made something else that may have been or something important someone somewhere else. The idea of the creation of paradoxes by travelling back in time is very difficult to grasp. But when you do, you realise you going back into the past would be far too dangerous to even consider.
So after all of this, what have we learned? We've looked at Einstein's theory of relativity and how it showed that time travel into the future could, in many years' time, be possible. We've discovered some of the problems that time travel may cause if it ever was possible, and we've taken a deep look into how travelling backwards in time would cause paradoxes. I hope you take something interesting away from this video, and come back next week for an insight from parallel universes.
Dr. Russell,
That's me.
I am Mr. Luca. We believe that you were the last ever person to see Dr. Delvasso.
Yes? What happened to him?
We may need you to identify a body.
They're coming! They're coming! Flee! They're coming! This is Dr. Delvasso's last words! They're coming for me!